Grief, like I have covered in one of my earlier episodes, is just that deep sorrow that someone goes through when they lose someone who meant something to them. Now, apparently, before that grief arrives, depending with what the person who has now gone has been going through, whether it's been a sickness, whether it was just old age, whether it was, same if it was in prison, whether it was awaiting sentencing or awaiting, murder, if that was the sentence, the killing and so on, just depending with what journey the person who eventually is gonna go or die has been going through. Apparently those around them also go through a type of grief. And this grief happens to be called anticipatory grief. Hello everybody, and welcome to Naomi's all-inclusive world, where today I am gonna be looking at anticipatory grief, where in other words, this is grief that is happening before you lose that person who means something to you. In other cases, this type of grief is also called preparatory grief, where you actually are kind of preparing for this person to go. Now, apparently not everybody realizes that they are going through anticipatory grief. It could be conscious or not, but everybody goes through that as we near the end of this person who is almost leaving us. And again, like I said at the beginning, it really depends with how this person's last days, weeks are looking like. Because again, say if it's a person who is in hospital, every minute, like you see a doctor come out of their room, you see a nurse rushing, you don't know what news they're coming out with, you don't know what information they're coming out with, and so on. So you're just anticipating, and most of the time is the worst, depending also with how bad this person is health-wise and so on. Say if it's someone who is receiving home care, the caregivers also just go through anticipatory grief, and these caregivers could be family members, and especially like in my society, in my African and specifically Kenyan society, we are very communal, and it's a blessing in itself. We are very communal, whereby like it's almost natural for someone to take care of their loved ones to the very end, whether it's their aged parents, whether it's their ailing parents and so on. So even these people, while they are doing this, happen to be going through anticipatory grief. It is grief, like the grief from loss, only that now this particular one, the person is not dead yet. And again, like I'm saying, depending with the caregiver, say it's a sickness, the person who is almost dying is a family member. It also depends with what sickness they are going through. Some sicknesses are just so devastating in themselves, so that it's like you are torn between, I wish this person can get well, and at the same time I just wish they can rest. So you see, again, depending with what pain your loved one is going through, this anticipatory grief also varies, and then also depending with also who this person is to you. I mean, if it's a parent, if it's a child, if it's a sibling and so on. So also if there's blood bond there, it even is heavier. So again, guys, even as we surround, or we are neighbors and family members and home and housemates of people who are taking care of people who are like almost to their end, ask that we be kind. They are also just going through a hard time. Beside nursing their people, beside helping their people be comfortable to the very end, they are also going through anticipatory grief. And then after this person goes, they still go through now grief of now losing them. So yeah, it's quite heavy there. Anticipatory grief also just has some characteristics that are fairly similar to grief or loss. You realize that, say for example, if I'm nursing my parent during their last days, their last times, or a sibling or a baby or something like that, we realize that you know what, you will have those sad moments and, you know, a few happy moments and so on, just like grief, you know. You have so much fear because every morning you don't know whether that's going to be the day they breathe their last. You don't know whether that's going to be the day you get the worst news, you know, and so on. So you also are just surrounded with so much fear and so on. And then again, you realize that you just, there's some portion of loneliness, because again, depending with who it is, say if it's your parent who is going through, you know, their last moments and so on, you know, then you can't spend time with them like you used to be when you were younger or when they were healthy. So you kind of also just go through that loneliness and that sadness, seeing them go through the pain, and, you know, you almost can't do much about it and so on. So yeah, some of the things that someone goes through during the anticipatory grief are actually almost just similar to, you know, those ones you'll go through when the loss now happens, when the person now is gone and so on. So yeah, I really thought I also needed to just mention something about anticipatory grief after I came through it through my reading, because I don't think we notice it a lot. I don't think we take time to actually just notice and also think about, you know, these family members, these people who are nursing their person who is, you know, just living their last days, or nursing their child or their sibling who is going through their last days, probably because of a sickness, because of an accident that happened, because of something like that. It's like, I don't think we really take time to think about what they are going through as they await their loved ones' last moments and so on. And I really thought I needed to bring this out. And just during this time when people are going through anticipatory grief, they are not, they don't love less. They're just still the same. They're just going through this sad moment. And again, anticipatory grief, just like the grief of losing someone, is not a disability. That person is still your sister, that person is still your neighbor, your brother, and so on. We just handle grief differently, and in this case, both anticipatory grief and grief after the person we love has rested or is gone. So, yeah. Let's just remember that and be kind to the caregivers, to those ones giving company to people who are on their last leg and so on. It really must be tough. Asante sana. Let's keep just creating this awareness. Let's keep sharing this information, and you have a chance of doing that by just sharing this awareness. Subscribe, you know, put on the notification bell so that every time I throw in this awareness, you're the first one to know.